Okay, recording now.
All right.
Ready? Mhm. Okay. All right. So, welcome to the what's this? Fourth, fifth episode of Sterling Scalability podcast. Um here we are talking about marketing trends, updates, or anything that will help you scale your business. My name is Ibiza.
And I'm Susan.
And we are your big sisters for your small businesses. And we believe that you guys deserve the same sharp strategy that Fortune 500 companies pay millions for. So, all right. So, how are you, Susan, this week?
Busy, busy. Out
Hmm.
hitting the streets today. I've got a local client who's got an event coming up on the 28th. So I've been helping the House of Dolls Foundation get out and talk about their event and talk about fundraising for these amazing students. So more on that somewhere on our Facebook page, I'm sure. And I've been learning a lot this week. So, there's just a merge on YouTube and Google Ads and everything continues to change in marketing. So a lot of educating, a lot of re-educating this week. How about you? How's your week going?
It was pretty slow because I don't have internet last week. But yeah,
Yes.
it's back now. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm all good, thankfully. Yeah. But yeah, here we are and ready to start rocking things again. So, okay, so what do
Yeah.
we got today?
All right. So,
Mhm.
it's like the year of change. I do feel like honestly, in marketing, we always kind of see shifts, but I honestly like a lot has changed in 2026 in marketing and advertising. And we do all see the shifts. We're seeing it impact our numbers now. And so as we're like I'm doing like my preview of the first half, not first half of the year. We're in June now, but what's it look like up until now? I'm trying to get my forecast for end of year stuff together and I can see the numbers are impacted by some of these changes. So now the chatter around the circles is vanity metrics is coming back up and trying to establish what the new vanity metrics are and what is it going to be moving forward. Where everything's changing, but marketing's always changing. So what's the goal? And obviously, the goal in marketing is to be a few steps ahead of the game. Luckily, some of the predictions that I've had, some that I've made for clients have gotten us there. So, um, and that's helpful for us. But at the same time, it's like we've got to switch the metrics that we're even looking at so that we understand how to steer that ship and how to win that game. And so, for me, staying ahead, staying two steps ahead, one step ahead, has always been data. I mean, I drug you into it when we were working together, and helped. I help a lot of people see the importance of it. But the data tells me the story, and that tells me what action to take next.
Mhm.
So, where I'm at right now is to admit, so my dashboard, obviously. Um, it's one that I carry everywhere, and it's got all kinds of good, juicy numbers on it. I've always tried to avoid the vanity numbers, but right now, some of the numbers that I tracked are not telling me what they need to be telling me so that I can make predictions or do any of my modeling. So I can feel like the old reliables aren't indicating what they used to or what I think they do or what is important these days. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm adjusting my dashboard. I'm changing. I've always added platforms or modified, features. I mean, we switched from what in on Facebook, we went from engagement
Like,
to interactions. What
oh
is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And
like
now we're
some
shifting on
photos.
the followers too. So,
Mhm.
um, so what I've really been looking at the last 2 weeks are the numbers. What numbers are we tracking now that are the vanity metrics? What do we need to know? The question that business owners always ask, and this is not a new question. This is an always question. It's the question that every marketer has to answer over and over again. It's just this is the first time I think it's been challenging, which is what are the numbers I need to track to know if my marketing is working? right?
Mhm.
That's the question. And to be honest, a lot of times, especially now, when I'm doing audits for small businesses, they're usually just kind of getting involved with me so that they can understand what some of this language is. They want to know what numbers, what would tell them, that their agency is doing a good job, or what are the things that are moving the needle. So, with these updates, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of things to factor in. There's a lot of things to think about. And I know it's not always clear to all of us to know what the heck the algorithms want. So now we've got some insight, right? We've watched the numbers for a couple of months now with our peers. Um, so the big shift is that followers are over.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, marketing is very interesting. Like, I started doing marketing back in 2020, no, 2018, I think. So before, it's all about, follower count, influencer. Everyone's wanting to have a million followers, right? Because that's where that shows how, that you are the authority, or you are that the very influential person on that whatever niche that it is. But it's just interesting that now our follower count is already dead, right? And something that people used to aim for is now a vanity metric. So it's just interesting.
Yeah. And it's
Hmm.
one of those things where like I'll track it. Like we're gonna, we'll track it. We'll keep an eye on it. But it's so funny because even earlier this year, I had just been talking with a team member about like, I never had a goal on Instagram if it wasn't 10,000. Like if we're not getting to your first 10,000, like I don't even want to have a
Mhm.
conversation with you. Like there are no milestones in between. But now it's like there definitely are, and it's definitely less important. Um, and it is interesting because it's not just the follower count. Like there are some other metrics, like reach is something that I've heavily relied on. Impressions on some platforms, but like what they indicate now isn't what it used to indicate. So it's like followers used to indicate that these were people who are engaging with your brand. But now, a follower is just, they're, kind of indicating to the algorithm they're interested in this. A like says even less. A like, which used to be intent action, is now passive, right? Like we just kind of like stuff. And
Yeah,
most of the time, we're not even liking the things. You're on Instagram, you're not really double tapping as often as you enjoy some piece of content, right? But you'll watch it 3 times in a row.
correct.
So those 3 views count more than you liking their page. Isn't that?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I get it because the shift is again, um, I talk, we talk about this, we're talking about this a lot in marketing, but the shift is that what we used to have to be good at was finding the audience. And now the AI feels that it is better at finding the audience than the marketers are. That so far has not been my experience. Even an ad campaign that I just launched on Meta Friday this weekend. So at some point over the last few days. So I just launched it. And I ran an A/B test against like my manual build and their recommended,
Mhm.
and 50% better. 50% improved
Huh.
mine. I'm an old lady who's been advertising on Meta for decades. Build beat there. So, I'm just gonna keep on watching that because that was a pretty good result. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling now. But you see, it's just cool because there's a great opportunity in it. I see this as, instead of doom and gloom, I think this is opening up a window of opportunity for people. And you said something to me earlier about that, which I know is part of your takeaways, but followers are over. So what's the shift to? Um, and the shift is into content,
Hmm.
not content in
Quality
the
content.
quality content. That's right. Not just content that we see. So, every one of these platforms that we'll talk about today, everything that we talk about, like it serves content to people who don't have to follow you. Your follower numbers does no longer decides who gets to see your post next. It's not in time order. As soon as they got changed the timelines up, we all knew this was coming. But that's just the truth. Um, if you have a big following but weak content, you get
Mm.
buried now.
Yeah, true.
So, and this is indicative of back when you could buy an audience or you could buy, groups and stuff like that.
What?
You remember that, right? And
Mhm.
it still happens. There are still farms, you still
Mm.
see tons of accounts, suddenly light up from some random country and you're like, wow.
From Romania.
Yeah, Romania, a couple other places I've seen lately too. And then, so that, those accounts, they get buried quickly. And of course, and also like Instagram not wanting you to repost content. So it's not the
Mhm.
same thing as like doing the remix. They want you to do that. They just don't want these clip accounts to continue to exist. And so yeah, now it's time to be over followers as a scoreboard. It's not the scoreboard anymore. Certainly not throughout all most of these platforms. So yeah, I wanted to break down on each platform a little bit about what the vanity metrics are now and then KPIs to track instead, because I think this will be really helpful. And then what we'll do is we'll end this with a fun little exercise for everybody where we are creating a nice little spreadsheet for you to track these numbers week over week. You can go back historically and get them added in so we can get a baseline rolling. And then the hope here will be that, that helps you identify some cool things. And if you're brave enough, you can send us your completed sheet and we'll take a look at it and make some predictions for you, perhaps on some of our socials or perhaps on a future episode.
Yeah.
So if you
So
do your
you should,
homework, turn it in.
yeah, you should download that. It's linked on our show notes. So definitely a must have in every business. Okay, so first, what about, so we discussed Andromeda Shift, Andromeda update for Facebook and Instagram. What does this look like? What vanity metric is and are already, and what is the real KPI that we should be looking at?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So vanities right now, followers, page likes, they just don't mean anything big anymore. They don't indicate what you think. Total reach, not as important either.
Um,
And then likes by themselves. As I mentioned, a like on Facebook is now a pretty passive action. It's not considered intent. Um, so things to track, these are the ones that are important. Your conversion signal, as you've decided. So if you're, whatever your CTA is, you want that conversion signal to be tracked well. You want your cost per result if you're running ads, your ROAS to be tied to a real purchase value. So whatever that looks like, again, if it's a purchase on your Shopify site, make sure that your conversion sets are linked up. You want to know that. You want to know everything that makes people take the action you want them to take. Simply just that. Um, Hook rate and hold rate, the sticky factors, um, especially for reels. Reels are the way to go. We're seeing them cost far less. We know that, Meta wants you to feed it that. So something you need to look at is for your creatives, your hook rate and your hold rate. So how long do people watch? And where do they drop off? What's that content that they're staying for? So really being very focused on content. Now this is a little tricky because obviously you are tracking your hook rate, your hold rate, but you also should be going back and reviewing those individually. Then, of course, tracking your creative win rate and how fast it fatigues. Again, specific to creatives, but how fast does it pick up an audience and how big is the drop off? And does it ever pick an audience back up? So don't just look at Reels content on a weekly basis. Make sure that start looking at your winners every 7 to 14 days now is my recommendation. I think before that was less helpful, but I'm pivoting my own mentality on that. Look at your week over week performance. Find your top performing reel, set that as your baseline. Determine that top performance over the hook rate, the hold rate, the creative win. So how quickly it takes off, and then those three things that's going to tell you what your best content is. Take your opinions away from it. Look for those three things. Make more of that.
awesome. I just remembered before, like, for like the verified blue check. is like before it's something that people are buying for, like, right? But now it's been and then eventually it's becoming it became a paid thing, and now even the followers are not a thing in it's a thing in the past already. So
Yeah, the verification check. And then
mm,
Instagram just rolled out another paid level. Did you see this?
I'm not really sure. I haven't checked though.
Oh man, hold on. This might be a side quest.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think so
The average.
it's the Instagram Plus plan. Hold on, I'm looking for.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. It's the Instagram Plus plan. It provides daily users with premium features like $3.99 per month
Oh my gosh.
for creators and businesses, and you
Mm,
can have a subscription that's up to $100 a month, depending on content that you're providing. This is
mm.
on Instagram for creators. Hold on, let me just share.
Oh.
Let me share my screen just in case this is juicy. We'll get back to the actual show in a minute. This is just a little side quest. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's the creators to Instagram.com is where you want to go. So there's like the earn money, whatever. And this is the subscription they offer. This isn't what I was looking for. Oh, this isn't it.
Looks like Patreon to me, is it? Or no?
Yes. So Instagram is doing that program within it. They are doing like a subscription only. And if you haven't seen those yet, for sure, those are there. Like now you can just like YouTube's doing that too. Members only videos.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Members only videos. All right. Um Instagram.
That's what we do here, like live.
Yes, absolutely. A question
Like,
comes up. Oh, we'll learn that. We're gonna
so
learn
that's
that.
why you have to make us 1,000, at least 1,000 followers in Instagram, so we can
Yeah.
be live.
So you can ask me a question and will
Right.
be your Google. Like you don't need an AI assistant when you have a Susan, I assure you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even AI up here isn't telling us any more than what I just told it. Oh, okay,
Mhm.
here it is. Extended stories.
Mhm.
So your stories last for 48 hours.
Mm. Who
Enhanced
reads that?
analytics. You get access to story rewatch. So they tell you how many times someone has rewatched it.
Oh,
So
right, right.
these numbers that I'm talking about that I want, they're gonna start making them private. They're gonna start charging us for the data. This is like, hold on, I do want to stop sharing my screen because I wanna say this into the camera. And you don't have to use this for the show. I gotta wait until I stop freezing. You don't have to use this for the show, but I have to say it. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, we should say it.
Yeah. So, all right. So I've watched so many evolutions of the internet, right? And that sounds wild. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist per se. I don't think that Skynet is the problem. But what I have watched happen and what others will have witnessed with me who've been in any kind of e-commerce business is the premium upcharges for service. What I mean by this is that years ago, we started seeing sites, I don't want to call anyone specific out, but like Help Scout, Gusto, these SaaS companies that we rely on for all kinds of different things. I just listed an HR platform and a payroll platform. Or yeah,
Bookkeeping or not?
a book, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and bookkeeping as well, books as
So,
well.
yeah, yeah.
So like all these different SaaS services that we, began to rely on, what they recognized was that we all needed a lot of assistance. And so then we, learned a little bit more about self-serve versus a live support agent, right? Or a bot support agent or whatever. And this, I've watched that evolve into having a pop up on your website that takes people to your FAQs and allows them to answer questions. And now, into the AI bot. And so I've watched that evolution. But what I watched happen on the back end of that is that getting access to a real person who can really help you started costing money. So Health Scout, if you wanted live support, you had to pay $7 more or whatever that subscription was. I don't remember what it was anymore. I'm just making it up. But like you just paid in addition to. So this is where I go with what's happening right now with this Instagram thing. This upgrade is selling us back data.
Mm.
Right? So that upgrade was selling us support that technically we need to be successful with their product, which when you
Mhm.
think about it, to me is still ridiculous. I mean, I understand it in the bandwidth of people, but I just think it's fucking ridiculous to charge people for premium service. Like if your business is making enough money, you should just always have live support agents ready to help people who are using your company. I
Mm.
period. Weirdos.
Right.
But what they're gonna do, what's gonna happen now is social media is selling us back our own data.
Data. Mhm.
Advanced analytics gives you access to story rewatch counts and viewer search data. Data. I don't know. I think I use those interchangeably. But they're selling us back information that is only exists because of our account. That is the trend for 2027. We've seen SaaS sites like Supermetrics pop up and all these things that like will connect everything to Instagram and zap it to here and zap it to there. But the numbers that people like me rely on, if I had to sit here and live in my conspiracy theory, they're eating all of the information. They can't promise us ads that will work. So now they're going to charge us. Think about it. I'm already spending money to advertise here, buddy. And now you're telling me that for me to understand my audience, I have to pay another
Mhm.
$4 a month to see
Okay.
how many people that's crazy. That's my conspiracy theory on it. That's going to be the trend. They're going to sell us, predict it right here on
Mhm.
this 6/10/2026. They're going to start privatizing our own account numbers and selling them back to us.
Yeah. That's why it's important that you have your own website, you have your own, content that host it somewhere other
Yeah.
than this apps.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. But it's a conversation though. And yeah.
Because it is nuts. I mean, and that's all this is. There's nothing else like to it. Your story goes to 48 hours. You lose access to data that would be helpful. Um, you can go anonymous when you're viewing other people's
Mm.
stories. And it just says deeper profile customization, custom audience lists, increased grid planning. So that's probably that click and hold. That's probably a feature of that. And they're advertising it already. That's what I think it is. Stupid. I hate it here.
So, anyways, but no, thank you for sharing that. I myself didn't know that. Well, the only thing that I learned from this week or last week is that the Instagram grid can now be interchanged. So that's the only thing that I know. But it's something that I mean most people should know too. That their data is being monetized by Instagram themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. To sell it back to the people who are advertising on their platforms.
Weird. Anyway, thank you so much for that. Okay. Now let's go to Google Ads and search. So Google's making the data shorter and tighter. So what should we look at now?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so obviously June has seen a lot for Google. It's still in process. June 1st, there were reporting essentially dropped down 37 months. Now we've got June 15th coming up, which is a consent setup. So just keep an eye out on your email. But this is consent because it's going to take over Google Signals. For some people, this is already rolling out. By the way, this is essentially like a bit of a they're just putting some things together in a neat little bow. But Google Signals, AI Max, they're going to absorb dynamic search ads in September. So we still got stuff happening this year to change. So Google Ads and search. What's Vanity now? Impressions, important, but less of an indicator now. Raw clicks. So um, we need to know more about them. Um, what was their intent? What was their source? And last click ROAS on its own, getting away from just that last click tracking metric. It doesn't really tell the full story anymore. Mm. And what we'll move into tracking now is going to be, or making sure that you are, some of these you should already be doing, but conversion quality. So, what's qualified leads to sales specifically with ads, not just like people filling out forms, but like how many of those are turning into paying customers. New customer and incremental contribution. So you want to start seeing proof that you caused the sale with the ad. Again, getting away from that last click kind of ROAS thing. Always cost per qualified lead or cost per sale. This is also called CPS, or CPR if you want to call it cost per result. And then search term to landing page match. So this specifically is for AI Max, and it's the way that it wants to route the traffic. So this is something where um, figuring that out and tracking it week over week can really help you direct the AI, especially in, I don't know if a lot of people are using auto recommendations, but you'll find some information on that there. And then offline conversions and lifetime value.
Interesting. I'm not much of an ads person, so this is something like this is
Yeah.
jargon for me.
And Google Ads, I mean, Google Ads is a deep conversation. This was me trying to keep it pretty surface level. I don't, all of this starts with good conversion. All of this starts with good setup. All of this starts with having the right things in place before you launch the ads. And so I just, there's a lot to it. If somebody wants to have a deeper conversation about this, you can certainly pay me to do that. But for right now,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll leave it to this. Google Ads is not a lot to learn, but there's a lot of layers of setup. And so where people are with it can be so different that it's difficult. But if you're tracking your conversion quality, what leads are turning into sales, how much it's costing you to get a lead or a sale from Google. Um, you can kind of, if you can go into Google Search Console and just at least check out what people are looking for and ending up with you at. And then, of course, how many, what's your repeat customer lifestyle like? So those are really like simplifying. If you're just trying to check up on somebody else doing work for you, you want to know those things.
Right, right. And again, if still you're confused, book us a call.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Book us on a call. I mean, it's interesting because I was having a conversation earlier today, Ibiza, about like, speaking of the business owner, and she was asking me like, well, what do you do? What do you do? And I said, marketing is really like the thing, but sometimes I come in and audit what other teams are doing. So, maybe you've hired an agency and they're telling you that they're doing a good job, but you don't know what they're saying, and that makes you feel unconfident. So you just need an interpreter. I said, I'm your interpreter. You can call me in, we can discuss the length of the call, set something up, book it, and then I'll be able to listen in on that. I said, I usually request that people allow me enough time to do the audit first, which, for simple sites, I think we have a fixed price option for the audit, which is, just taking a look at what you got going on. Giving somebody some advice, no pressure. Um,
Right.
but that's what I was talking to her about earlier. And I thought it was funny because I was like, sometimes people just need a marketing interpreter, and that's sometimes me. So I thought that was kind of funny 'cause, yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, you need a Susan in your life, in your business.
Available
Yeah.
for hire.
Uh-huh. All
So,
right. Thank you for that. Okay. So now let's go to YouTube and sorry, CTV.
yeah,
Is it again?
CTV, it's just what Google has, like, their merge kind of is now.
Oh.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, so just think of this as YouTube. I really wasn't a big measure of YouTube as a social channel until about 3 months ago.
Mm.
Honestly, like, you and I have been testing some shorts for YouTube. I'm seeing some of them do really well. I'm seeing some not do really well. I'm actually going to start testing this on an apparel brand this week. So, because I think there's a big opportunity in shorts. I just think I'm looking at what I know about Google. Sorry, you're all just getting like my off the cuff predictions here. But do you remember when Google launched their own social media channel,
They did?
Google Plus,
Oh, oh yeah. Before
and
it
it was
was so
invite only for a long
ages,
time,
yeah,
and
ages
I got
ago.
in. Was it
Yeah.
Circle? I don't remember,
Yeah, kind of like that.
but anyway, I got in. I loved it. I remember it. I was so excited. I was so excited to find somebody with an invite. I was like super excited. Anyway, so they tried and they failed, right? They gave up on that. That was a mission that they were like, we tried. We couldn't beat Facebook. We moved on. But think about all the stuff you can do on YouTube now that you couldn't before, like posting a static picture.
It's so cool. Yeah.
I think Google's getting back in on the social media game through their most social platform.
YouTube. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my prediction, who knows? But obviously, the short
We'll get back
video.
to this. We'll get back to this clip once it happens.
If my ADHD ever lets me remember. Exactly. I'm just putting all my predictions out here so that like because I was on a call, I was on a work call where like I'm just like rattling off my own knowledge. Like I was asked a question and I'm just like and then I get this like kind of like chuckle from across the room, obviously the virtual call, and I'm like, what's up? Oh, it's just like it looks like you're reading this verbatim off of this AI chat that I pulled. And I'm like, well, I do this for a living.
Yeah. See, that's the
Anyway,
reason why you should book us on a call. Book Susan on a call.
but Jupiter can tell you a whole bunch of stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to tell you how to fix it.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
It might give you some ideas, but then what are you going to do? Test it yourself? No, you're not. You're not running ads. Anyway, speaking of ads, YouTube. All right. So what's Vanity now? Subscriber count. Subscriber count is not as important, and YouTube is fresh. YouTube is today fresh. So like subscriber count, it just doesn't matter as much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if say for example, because when we were meeting earlier before we hit record, I was thinking the follower count should still matter for those people who are looking to have their YouTube channel as a passive income stream, right? But essentially, if in terms of marketing per se, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because if you are making your job an influencer, if you're, I mean, honestly, if you're trying to get booked on other podcasts, like we've got clients where their follower count still matters because I'm still going to have to put in an immediate kit. But I think that can answer the question right there, right, Ibiza? If you're not building a
Yeah.
media kit for press, you may not
Mm.
need to care about your follower count.
Mhm.
And your subscriber count on YouTube is just less important because of the algorithm. But yes, I mean, I still think overall, nice to have people subscribe. Better to have people subscribe to your email that you own.
Right. Yeah.
So all right, subscriber count, still a vanity metric. If you're an influencer, maybe less a vanity metric. But ultimately, if you're creating content that's getting millions of views, but people aren't liking your page, people still want you. You still have value. You see you. They love you. So raw views, just views alone, don't really tell you what to do next. And as you know, I don't. When I define vanity metrics, I should have this early on. For me, it's something that doesn't tell me what action to take. So subscriber growth doesn't tell me an action anymore. Raw videos don't, like the number. Oh, I posted 20 videos. That doesn't tell me anything anymore. And then reach as like a trophy metric. Like our big goal is that we've reached this many people. Um, Especially with the June 2nd like updates that it's like code view now. So it's a little different and we're not really gonna count that. Instead, what we can look at for our YouTube is going to be view through that connects to a real conversion. So what's your view through rates? Co-viewed reach. Have they watched other videos? What's that look like? Um, and retention on the content. So did they actually watch it? Abiza, for you and I, we added this to our dashboard earlier this year. And it was interesting because we're really seeing that fluctuate, right? Week over week. Um,
Right.
and so, I mean, at first, like some videos are, you can absolutely see that it's like 75% of people stay to watch, you know? So definitely really helpful. And again, this is all really content specific, not necessarily account specific. And maybe that's the biggest pivot is that, I'm so used to looking at an account in the whole, but we really need to look at the content individually. And then clearly defined metrics for shorts, podcasts, and long form content. Separate those as channels within YouTube. Do the extra work of that. And then, lastly, and most importantly, and I would say this about every single thing on this list, sources, traffic sources. Like YouTube ads are one of the biggest things that's finding a new audience for some of my podcasts that are happening right now on YouTube. And the thing to note about that is that if YouTube ads are driving it, then I would expect that once the engagement that I'm currently in drops off, that might drop. But tracking sources.
I mean, it's cool because now people can focus more on their content and, quality content, of course, and not just, having to reach for the a million follower, 100,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
And that way, it will be more sustainable for them too, as a content creator or
Yeah.
business who creates their content online. So,
Yeah, and the
yeah.
people who are following them should ideally become closer and closer and closer to their ideal targets, or at least their super fans, the people who really are going to spread that message.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to TikTok. So, followers, does it still mean anything for TikTok?
So I'm up in the air on this. I know we just kind of like looked it up and we're taking a look and figuring it out. My gut tells me that follower count really matters on TikTok. So I think this becomes the exception to the rule. I did list like follower count here, but it's almost like it takes these backsies because I just do think it still matters quite a bit on TikTok. Now, I think that ultimately that algorithm is good at finding the content that people want to keep watching. And I haven't really talked about this heavily right here. So I'll take this pause to talk about the only metric that most of these apps care about for their users is TOA, time on app.
Mhm.
So the only goal that they have is to keep people there. And so I think that for TikTok, the follower count, like the followers, the people who are dedicated followers will go to profiles and watch videos that they have not watched sequentially, which I think improves it. So my gut says that follower count still matters to TikTok because I think there's a large subset of people who are doing that. And I don't think that Meta or YouTube's algorithm counts those, but I think that TikTok does. Um, so the only and again, you know what? I'll admit here too, TikTok is something where I did it when it first, kind of like launched. Had a viral moment, stopped liking that, deleted my account. And then for many of the businesses that I have consulted or worked with since, TikTok is either handled by another team or hasn't been something that we heavily prioritized. Um, and I'm saying this to say that I'm shifting that mindset as well. I'm really seeing a lot of stickiness. I'm seeing a lot of demographics that are surprising, and I see a lot of opportunity to reach. So I was never like a TikTok hater, but I did feel like it was a young person's game. But I do not think it's a young person's game. I think it's something we have to play. So the vanity metrics that I have there for right now is total views, because total views doesn't tell you the action to take. Follower count up in the air will let you know. We're trying to do our TikTok, I think. I don't know if any of my content last week made it there. I owed a bunch of videos that I didn't do, but I do have things recorded. Anyway, I digress. So KPIs to track for TikTok. Ready? And I would say track these for everything. So completion rate and average watch time. How long are people watching and how many people are finishing that video? Saves and shares over likes. Those are not intent. Like is not an intent signal anymore. A like is something passive. So you want people who will save it. You want people who will share it. You want it added to people's stories. Um, Reach to non-followers. So that specific number will tell you how the For You page is carrying you. And then you can go further and figure out what videos are getting the newest audience. And then you know what to give more of to the For You page because it knows how to find those people as long as they're the right people. Profile visits and link clicks from content. So again, we're trying to learn intent all over again. And then actions that are taken off the platform. So do they click to your website? What's happening there? TikTok.
Awesome. I mean, I'm not really a fan of TikTok too because for me it's too noisy. Plus
Yeah,
the it's for kids, I think. Just my thoughts. I mean,
you're
there's also
wrong. You're wrong. And we'll get
right,
you there
yeah.
too. I mean, hey,
Yeah, yeah,
I felt
yeah.
that way too.
Yeah. I mean, also the thing is the businesses that I work with doesn't have TikTok. So that's why I'm not really into TikTok. But
Yeah.
these are the things that the KPIs that we just mentioned. You guys as marketers or business owners should be taking note of so that you would know the strategy that you can do that you can apply to your businesses, to your content specifically. So if you have something to take away, we said a lot of things, but for me, I just wanted to sum it up with three. So first, this is the best time for you to start publishing now, just because you don't have to build a a brand from scratch only to be seen once you're there, right? But now, even if you don't have a lot of following, you can be, the feed, the algorithm will be able to, show you to other people, to a lot of people, as long as you have given or you have produced a quality content that would really resonate with your audience. So that's number one. So don't overthink it. Most of the time, people are, overthinking things, and it would, lead to freeze response. So nothing's ever happening, nothing's ever produced. So just start doing content now, creating content now. And number two, be authentic. I mean, that's the only sustainable thing that you can do in your content creation journey or even in your marketing. Just because the only thing that's because no one's ever like no matter the trend, no matter what's going on in the social media algorithm changes, if you as a person, like the people who knows you, who likes you, who trusts you will always find you. So just be authentic. And then also try doing different things because if you try, because you'll never know what will be um resonating to your audience, right? Or you'll never know what's the thing that will really impact your audience, or what will convert your content to like what will convert and give you sales, right? So just do something different from what you're doing because yeah, it might pay off in the future. So those are the three things: start doing it now, be authentic, and try doing different things. How about
I,
you? What are your three takeaways?
I love that. And mine are less cheerful and more data driven. But I really love what you said, and I will double down on it. I mean, we're being ourselves on this because we believe in this so strongly that a piece of drug me on camera. I don't really like this. And I'm being authentic and telling you that I don't. I love educating people, but I do feel a little goofy. That's why, at least if it's live, I feel like there's interactions. But I love Ibiza, and I'm sorry that Ibiza has to listen to me rattle on forever. So
Mhm.
be authentic and try different things. And I would stress again that, for me, I see this as a bit of a Wild West time. I think that if you will try different things, if you look at what your competitors are doing and then do something completely different, you have a big opportunity to win. What are platforms that your competitors are not actively using or strategizing around? Go do that. Go do that and do it with video. Anyway, my takeaways. So, content earns the reach, which this is a great segue. The followers don't. So if you have only fixed one mindset today, shift away from I need to grow my followers to X amount to have, to be successful. It's the content that earns the reach. So make content that is not just helpful. Helpful isn't enough anymore. It should also be entertaining. And all I can think about is, I've been learning Korean and it's really hard to do it, but there's these Korean language teachers that sing, don't go, Kachima. And it's just really funny because that stuff sticks in your head. So it's educating and helpful. And so, not to say that everyone needs to be funny, but if humor is in your ministry or in your personality, be a little humorous. Um, but the content's going to earn the reach. So, leading back into exactly what you said, Ibiza, about being authentic and trying something different. And that my part number two, my takeaway number two, is that every algorithm now wants the same thing, which is exactly what your good marketers have always wanted, which is clean signal and proof that we caused the sale. So the algorithm wants to know what turns it into a sale because then it can charge you more money. So if the number can't point to an action, it is a vanity number. It is a decoration. And my third takeaway here is some numbers changed. So, June, we already know June 1, 2, 15 for Google, there are changes happening. September's coming up as well. So just check your KPIs, start looking at your numbers, seeing where shifts are happening. Are you tracking the right upswings, the right downswings? As mentioned, we're going to have a resource we're putting together for you guys to track the numbers that we just talked about. And maybe you can expand that to include some numbers that we haven't talked about. But if you're not tracking this stuff, it's going to be a good practice for you.
Awesome. So you see the technical side and you see the the practical side of things.
It's all important. It's all
Yeah.
important.
Right. So, okay. So tell yourself in the comments which number have or which KPI have you been tracking that might just be a vanity. And also, if you're interested, please do download our free dashboard so you can track your KPIs, the right KPIs that we just talked about. Because just like Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So it really makes sense. I've heard this first from Susan years back. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that.
I was gonna say that's
But
so funny. I love Peter Drucker. He's one of the writers I did. I probably put that on one of the first KPI probably one of the first data presentations that we had at that company that we worked at. Because I was really proud of that. Yeah, I love Peter Drucker. Good quote. Good
right?
episode. I mean, I know there was so much in this, and I feel like all these episodes tend to be so data heavy, and I know I seem to be rambly, and that makes me feel terrible. But the thing is that just so much is changing. There's so much happening, and there's so much to it. So I'm always pushing to make sure that everybody can understand everything. But some of this stuff is like tough,
Hmm.
you know.
Right, right. And we need to know it. Like not everyone knows this or
Yeah,
eh, not everyone discusses this. Like they would just say it on the surface level. So
yeah,
yeah, it's really important that we have this kind of conversations.
yeah.
All right. So that's it for today. We hope to see you next week. Thank you. And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us in all of our channels.
That's right.
Make it one day.
And then go to Instagram and find Sterling Scalability and follow us on Instagram so that we can do these live. And you guys can just ask us questions. Also, if you have questions, feel free to email us at hello@sterlingscalability.com.
All right. So that's it. Thank you so much, you guys. And we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.